Next stop, McDonald's. Oh, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are off to the Lake District. This will be a first trip for us over into the Lake District. We did the peaks last week and we're going to head up to the lakes this time. We're going to hit all the big names, the Old Coach Road, the Fox, the Ox and all the bits in between. It should be a good day. We're hoping to get somewhat stuck, but not as stuck as I got last time because I ended up breaking things. So this time we're going to try for a break-free trip. It does happen. Every now and again it does happen. So stay tuned, get a cup of tea, get a drink, and enjoy this one.
Good little splash here to start the lane off. You can see on this signage here, if you pause the video, it explains that motor vehicles are not allowed on either side of the lanes, but they are allowed on the lane subsequently. We do run into the horse rider school that is nearby. Had a conversation with them, explained the situation, that obviously a car was on its side and the lane was impassable at the current moment. They were okay about it, took some pictures of registrations and on they went. They did obviously have something to say about the fact that we were there and should be there. I explained and informed them that obviously we are allowed to be on the lane, and that they'd been informed incorrectly, that they're reading the signage wrong. So hopefully there was no major disagreements there, but they went on their way and we carried on with the recovery as needed. You can see here, this is where we start the lane on Snape Rake Lane, and it's not far past this corner where everything goes sideways. So I get to the bottom of Snape Rake Lane here, and obviously noticed these walkers. I got out and just explained the situation to them, to say obviously the car at the top, and it's not safe for them to pass at the moment. They were very understanding. They stopped and had their lunch at the bottom. I obviously turned the car back round to get back up and start this recovery, and it actually worked out quite well with their lunch finishing just as we managed to right this vehicle. You'll see the progress shortly, but it was very nice to have these walkers turn up and be very understanding of the situation.
Right folks, so unfortunately we've had an accident here. So we're doing obviously what is a major recovery. We've got one winch rope up and around that tree, another one all the way up and around the back on a snatch rope to then the back of the car, so that once we start winching it over onto that bank there, it's held at the back and it can't go anywhere and it can't roll down the hill for obvious reasons. So nice recovery. It's not something we planned on doing today, but unfortunately these things happen. Stay tuned and you'll see the damage.
This is just after the incident happened. So what actually caused this is the driver clipped the bank on the driver's side, overcorrected to passenger to obviously avoid the bank on the driver's side, and unfortunately hit the gas pedal, which is very easily done in muddied up boots, etc., and climbed the bank and then rolled onto its side. So it was a very low speed crash. Nobody was injured. The car obviously took the brunt of it. So here we are just setting up the security strap that comes off the rear here. It comes from one of the rear cars up around the tree and holds it from the side angle. We then proceed to get one from my car, which is in front of the rolled car, up and through that tree protector strap there, and then it holds that. We've got two cars holding it from the back end to stop it going anywhere. We've got one to pull it from its side back towards its wheels onto the bank, and the other to then just adjust it on the rear end so that we can turn the vehicle if needed. So as the car starts to right here, it lands pretty much exactly where planned. Wheels up on the bank. Obviously this is not a nice angle. You would never want to be in this position. You would definitely fall over again if the winch cable wasn't holding it in place. We just adjust the rear end, just bring it around a little bit, and then clear the trees in front of it and start to slowly bring this car back down the bank and onto the actual lane. So this was a good start to the recovery. It allowed us just to get the driver back into the car to be able to manoeuvre this while still obviously being under full control of the winch. All he was really doing was steering the vehicle. particularly happy with the way that it's progressing. You can see it sliding more back towards the side than you can see it coming down the bank the way it's supposed to. So we use the winch on the front of the car that was in the incident, get that back up and around the tree further up on the driver's side. This allows us to bring the front end up as the wheel travels down the bank, and that just creates a better angle for the car in this recovery position. It's just a little bit safer, and we obviously minimise the risk of it rolling over again because we've done enough damage up to this point. So there are plenty of resets, plenty of repositioning, and you can see that we do eventually get this car coming onto the right angle. We changed from the high up angle that was pulling it further up to a lower down one to pull it forward, because the car is now wedged again. It's held from the other side and the back. It's not going to fall anywhere, and we just need to pull this back onto the track. again, one last little reset here. We throw a soft shackle up and around the roof bars, and that's purely to just hold the car, because on the low side it was almost pulling it back off of the bank. So we got it wrapped around the driver's side and then just put enough tension to hold the car. These roof bars are not rated for recovery. If this decided to roll, this would not save them at all, but all we were doing was bringing the winch cable under tension, and that was it, just ever so slightly, just to stop it from leaning that way, and just letting the other winch do its job, and just keep this winch on the roof bar just under tension. That's all it needed to do. It wasn't pulling that way at all, apart from just holding the car in place.
Come on, lad! Get
All in all, a successful recovery there. As you can hear, we are very pleased to have it back on all four wheels here. We just do one final little manoeuvre, get it safe, and then we have a little breather, gather our thoughts, figure out the rest of it.
Good.
So we've got further down the lane. We're just giving this a quick once over, figuring out the situation. You can see obviously the damage here down the driver's side is quite significant. All the panels are damaged from front to back, all the windows smashed front to back, and so we go ahead about with trying to obviously get this car out under its own steam if possible. So we're tearing down top end of the engine just to crank it over and get the oil out the top, because obviously you cannot compress the oil. So we get it out the top as best we can, get it all put back together, all on the lane here, and give it a good little crank over, which you'll see in a minute, which is it does fill us with confidence, but unfortunately not everything goes to plan, and I'll let you watch this little time lapse to figure out why.
Oh, fuck.
Cheat on! Don't roll back.
Right.
Do not roll back.
You could have said. Absolute cock rumble.
I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, we go for YouTube.
I hope you're coming in.
Yeah, Luke, that's just a blue.
Is it even recording?
Yeah. I zoomed right in as well, so that'll be a fucking close up.
Little slow-mo.
Oh yeah. Hey, that's a fucking good sign, boys. That's a boat move. Come on, spin it round. Go the full way round.
Hey! Fucking hell, there's so much oil in there.
I don't want to be the one to do it, to be honest. Get up! Get up! Get up! That starts with the wings. Whoa! Hey, knock that out. Well, look.
I don't know why I thought anything different was going to happen. Hang on.
You fucking
That's so good.
keep doing it.
So you can see there that obviously the engine is cranking over lovely, which is a good sign that there's no damage bottom end. We carry on now to try and clear as much oil out as possible and then start the rebuild. So whilst I'm off to get some oil here, the guys will start to rebuild the top of the engine. It is at this point, unfortunately, that the day goes from bad to worse. Whilst assembling the top of the engine, one of the injector clamps that hold the injectors down was unfortunately placed in upside down. Now you'll see the damage here on this front gear, the camshaft, and where it's made contact. It has stripped the majority of the teeth here, which
Let's get this car out of here.
this caused us to obviously not be able to drive this car out. So we start our second recovery of the day, which is another big recovery, and skull drag this vehicle that is unfortunately dead weight back up to through the river and up the other side of Snape Rake Lane. It is obviously worth noting here that the recovery has been ongoing for several hours at this point. Thankfully, it wasn't raining at all on this outing, but the mistake of the injector clamp was very easily done, given that everybody was tired and mentally drained from trying to obviously recover the vehicle from where it was previous. So mistakes do happen, people. So as you can see here, we've got the stricken vehicle being dragged up. Unfortunately, we didn't have any recovery points on the front here, so we've had to use the winch, but given all the damage that the vehicle has sustained, we weren't too worried about any further damage. The winch was fully spooled up, so there was very little chance of it coming undone or breaking, etc. We kept everything down to a minimum as much as possible, but you've got to do what you've got to do in this situation. It may not be perfectly to the book, as it were, but this is what we had to do to get this vehicle out of here. We have a somewhat daisy-chain situation with my Colorado pulling the stricken Colorado, and then I've got my winch hooked up to the 80 series at the front here, just to winch me through any parts that require me to get, you know, a little bit stuck or hung up.
We need to pack Jay's wheels. He's 3, 4 box. He's rubbing there.
And that, folks, is all she wrote. You can see the damage here on the trailer as we head home, looking very sorry for itself. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you can, drop us a comment below on what you might have done differently. I look forward to reading these comments. See you on the next one.